Once upon a time, in faraway lands, Snow White lived happily with her mother and father. But one day, something sad happened. The beloved mother of the princess, the queen, succumbed to an illness and passed away. The king, after some time, remarried another woman. However, this woman had a wicked heart and was rumored to be a sorceress. The new queen cared for nothing but beauty, and whenever she stood before the mirror, she asked,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
The mirror's answer was always,
"Of course, you, my queen. You are the fairest of them all."
However, as Snow White grew older, the mirror's response began to change. One day, she asked again,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
The mirror replied,
"The fairest of them all is Snow White."
This angered the queen greatly. How could someone be more beautiful than her? The wicked queen devised a plan to eliminate Snow White to regain her status as the fairest. She ordered a hunter.
"Take Snow White to the forest, kill her, and bring her heart back to her as proof."
The huntsman, obeying reluctantly, led Snow White into the forest. While Snow White was walking happily in the forest, she suddenly saw the hunter pulling his knife towards her, and she was filled with fear. However, when the hunter reached the forest, he saw Snow White's innocence and stopped harming her. He warned Snow White to escape, saying,
"Leave immediately, or the queen will kill you."
Grateful for sparing her life, Snow White thanked the huntsman and quickly fled. The huntsman then killed a deer, put its heart in a box, and brought it to the queen. When the huntsman presented the box to the queen, claiming it contained Snow White's heart, the queen rejoiced, believing herself to be the most beautiful once again. Meanwhile, Snow White ventured deeper into the forest and came upon a dark cave. Inside the cave, 7 dwarfs were working in a mine. The 7 dwarfs grew fond of Snow White and offered her shelter in their home. Snow White began living with the dwarfs. As time passed, she became the most cherished friend of these 7 kind-hearted dwarfs. Doc, Grumpy, Dopey, Bashful, Sleepy, Happy, and Sneezy, who became like her family. Meanwhile, the wicked queen again asked the magic mirror,
"Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?"
The mirror answered.
"The fairest of them all is Snow White."
Enraged, the evil queen demanded to know Snow White's whereabouts. The wicked queen continued her search for Snow White and eventually found her. One day, disguised as an old woman, the queen decided to poison Snow White with a poisoned apple. She approached Snow White and offered her the poisoned apple. Snow White, unaware of the danger, took a bite and fell into a deep sleep instantly. The dwarfs found her unconscious and placed her in a glass coffin. They were all deeply saddened. But suddenly, a handsome prince appeared. When he saw Snow White, who was fast asleep, he admired her beauty and gave her a kiss. Snow White suddenly opened her eyes and woke up from her sleep. The evil queen's curse had been broken. The queen, whose evil intentions were foiled, had to retreat, and Snow White and the prince began to live together. Snow White never forgot the 7 dwarfs and remained their loyal friend. And so, Snow White and the prince lived happily ever after, leading a life free from evil and filled with love.